My wife dabbles in art, translates some documents, plays curator at a gallery nobody visits. Maybe if you'd actually amounted to something, I wouldn't have to carry us both financially.
Devon laughed as he looked at his wife in front of everyone they knew. My wife dabbles in art, translates some documents, plays curator at a gallery nobody visits. A few people went silent. His mistress tightened her grip around his arm. Devon looked Kira up and down, a cruel smile spreading across his face. Maybe if you'd actually amounted to something, I wouldn't have to carry us both financially. Kira stood there, frozen. 6 years of marriage, 3 jobs, every dream she had sacrificed for him, and this was how he chose to repay her. But Devon had no idea that this would be the last night Kira Mensah would ever be the woman he could humiliate, because 3 months later, she would meet a billionaire, and the man who once laughed at her would be the one begging for her attention. But by then, Kira would have already become someone he could no longer reach. Before we begin, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications, because you won't want to miss what happens when the woman her husband threw away becomes the woman a billionaire can't live without. Now, let's get into the story. The chandelier above cast warm light across the banquet hall, but Kira Mensah felt cold. She stood near the refreshment table, her fingers gripping a glass of champagne she hadn't sipped. Around her, former classmates laughed and caught up on 6 years of life changes since graduating from Seoul International Academy. Kira, you look amazing, Ji-hye approached with a genuine smile. I heard you're working in the arts now. Before Kira could answer, a voice cut through their conversation. Kira's stomach twisted. Devon Matthews, her husband, walked toward them with Sophia Kim clinging to his arm. His expression held something Kira had seen increasingly over the past year: contempt. What do you mean? Ji-hye asked, confused. Devon laughed, the sound sharp enough to turn heads. My wife dabbles in art, translates some documents, plays curator at a gallery nobody visits. He paused, letting his words sink in. Maybe if you'd actually amounted to something, I wouldn't have to carry us both financially. The conversations around them died. Kira felt every eye turn toward her. Her face burned hot, her throat tightened. Sophia smirked, pressing closer to Devon. Devon, that's cruel, Ji-hye whispered. It's honest, he said. Kira knows I believe in truth. Kira set down her glass carefully, afraid her shaking hands would drop it. She had supported this man through 3 failed businesses. She had worked multiple jobs to keep their apartment while he chased dreams. She had believed in him when nobody else did, and this was her reward. Excuse me, she managed, her voice barely audible. She walked toward the exit, each step measured and deliberate. Behind her, conversations resumed, but she caught the whispers. Poor thing, always knew that marriage wouldn't last. She never quite fit in, did she? Half Ghanaian, half Korean, fully belonging nowhere. The night air hit her face as she stepped outside. Seoul's lights blurred through her tears. She had grown up in this city, spoke Korean fluently, understood every cultural nuance, but moments like these reminded her that some people would always see her as foreign. Her phone buzzed. Devon's message appeared. Don't be dramatic. Get back inside. Kira stared at those words. 6 years of marriage reduced to this. She had been 24 when they met at university, drawn to his confidence and ambition. He had promised her the world. Instead, he had given her shame. She called a taxi and went home. Their apartment was dark when she arrived. Kira switched on the lights and saw their life together with new eyes. The furniture she had carefully selected from second-hand stores. The artwork she had created during happier times, now gathering dust. The photos of their wedding day, both of them smiling at a future that had rotted somewhere along the way. She sat on their couch and waited. Devon came home 3 hours later, smelling of expensive perfume that wasn't hers. You embarrassed me, he said, tossing his keys on the counter, walking out like a child. You humiliated me in front of everyone we knew. I stated facts. He loosened his tie, not meeting her eyes. You're sensitive, Kira. You always have been. How long have you been sleeping with Sophia? The question landed between them like a grenade. Devon froze, then slowly turned to face her. What? How long? He studied her for a moment, then shrugged. 8 months, and before you get hysterical, you pushed me to it. Coming home to you, to this tiny apartment, to your small dreams. He gestured around dismissively. I need more. Kira felt something crack inside her chest, not her heart breaking, she realized, her illusions shattering. I want a divorce. Finally, something we agree on. Devon walked to their bedroom, returned with papers. My lawyer prepared these last week. Sign them. You'll get nothing. But then again, you came into this marriage with nothing. My father's inheritance. Our money now. Legally mine since you put it in our joint account. I've already invested it. The room tilted. That money, $50,000 her father had left her before dying of cancer 4 years ago, had been her safety net, her future gallery, her father's final gift. You stole from me. I used marital assets for business opportunities, he said coldly. Sign tonight. I want this done. Kira looked at the man she had loved, really looked at him. When had he become this stranger, or had she simply refused to see who he truly was? She picked up a pen and signed each page without reading them. Pride kept her tears locked away. She would not give him the satisfaction of seeing her break. Done, she said. Devon gathered the papers, actually smiled. I'll be staying at Sophia's tonight. Be out of here by the end of the month. He left without looking back. Kira sat in silence as the door clicked shut. The apartment suddenly felt enormous and suffocating all at once. She walked to their bedroom, opened the closet, and stared at her clothes hanging next to empty hangers where Devon's suits had been. He had planned this. Moved his things out gradually while she worked her 3 jobs to support his dreams. She pulled out her phone and called the one person who might understand. Kira, it's 2 a.m, her mother's sleepy voice answered. He's gone, Mama. But oh, baby, her mother's voice cleared immediately. I'm coming over. No, I just needed to hear your voice. That man never deserved you. Your father saw it, warned you. I know. Come home. Move back in with me. Kira looked around the apartment. Moving home at 30 felt like admitting defeat. But staying here, surrounded by ghosts of a failed marriage, felt worse. I need to stand on my own feet. Then stand. But remember, asking for help isn't falling. It's being wise. They talked until sunrise. Her mother, a Korean woman who had fallen in love with a Ghanaian diplomat, understood complicated love. She had faced Seoul's judgment for her interracial marriage, raised a mixed-race daughter in a homogeneous society, and buried the love of her life too young. You have time to rebuild, her mother said before hanging up. 30 is young, baby. Your story isn't over. But sitting in that apartment as dawn broke, Kira felt ancient. She found a studio apartment in Hongdae 3 days later. It was barely larger than a closet, but the rent was manageable and the neighborhood pulsed with artistic energy. She moved in with 2 suitcases of clothes and her father's collection of African artwork, pieces he had gathered from across Ghana. The landlord, an elderly man named Mr. Park, helped her carry boxes up 4 flights of stairs. You're young to be alone, he observed. Divorced. Ah, his loss, I'm sure. Kira tried to smile but failed. Her first night alone, she sat on the floor of her empty studio and let herself cry. Not gentle tears, but gut-wrenching sobs that came from somewhere deep and wounded. She cried for her marriage, for her stolen money, for the dreams she had abandoned, for the girl who had believed love conquered all. When the tears finally stopped, she felt hollowed out but strangely lighter. Her phone buzzed. A message from Devon. Forgot to mention, I need you to cover this month's rent at the old place. My name's on the lease. Kira blocked his number. The next morning, she walked to 3 different establishments looking for work. The first restaurant turned her away for lack of experience. The second offered her kitchen prep work. The third, a small cafe near Hongik University, hired her as a waitress for evening shifts. You speak English and Korean fluently, the manager asked. And some Twili, my father's language. Perfect, we get international students. Start tomorrow. Kira already had her translation work during the day, sporadic but enough to survive. The cafe job would help her rebuild savings. Maybe in a year or two, she could think about her gallery dream again. Maybe. She walked home through Hongdae's vibrant streets, past murals and street musicians, past couples holding hands and groups of friends laughing. For the first time in 6 years, she had no one to answer to, no one's failures to finance, no one's cruelty to endure. It felt terrifying and liberating in equal measure. Her studio apartment looked smaller in daylight. Kira unpacked her father's artwork, hanging each piece carefully: a kente cloth from Kumasi, a carved wooden mask from the Ashanti region, a painting of Accra's coastline at sunset. Each piece held memories of her father's stories, his deep laugh, his certainty that she could be anything. "I'm sorry, Papa," she whispered to his photograph. "I wasted your gift." But her father's smile in the picture seemed to say what he always had. "Get up, Kira. Try again." 3 months crawled by in a blur of exhaustion. Kira woke at 6, translated documents until 2, napped briefly, then worked at the cafe until midnight. She lost weight she couldn't afford to lose. Dark circles appeared under her eyes. Her natural curls, which she once carefully maintained, got pulled into messy buns. But she paid her rent, fed herself, survived. On weekends, she set up a small stand in Hongdae's free market, selling sketches and small paintings she created late at night when sleep wouldn't come. The art was raw, emotional, bleeding pain onto canvas. To her surprise, people bought them. "This piece," a young woman said one Saturday, holding up Kira's painting of a broken mirror reflecting a whole person. "It speaks to me. How much?" 30,000 won. It's worth more. To someone who understands it, maybe. The woman bought it and 2 others. Kira counted the money that night. 90,000 won. That meant food for 2 weeks. Art had never fed her before. Her gallery job had been mostly administrative, filing and organizing for an owner who barely paid minimum wage. But creating her own work, pouring her pain into something beautiful, felt like breathing after drowning. She started painting more. The cafe where she worked, Moonlight Coffee, became her second home. The other servers, mostly university students, adopted her with easy friendship. They didn't know about her divorce or her humiliation. To them, she was just Kira, the older waitress with the pretty accent and quick smile. "You should come clubbing with us," Minjun, a 22-year-old dance major, suggested during a slow Tuesday night. "I'm 30. "So? Age is just numbers." Kira laughed, the sound surprising her. "I have to be up early for translation work." All work, no play makes Kira a dull woman. "I'm already dull." "Liar. I've seen your paintings at the market." Dull people don't create fire on canvas. The compliment warmed her more than it should have. 3 months and 2 weeks after her divorce, on a rainy Thursday evening in September, Kira's life changed again. The cafe was slow. Rain hammered the windows, keeping customers away. Kira wiped down tables that didn't need cleaning, watching water stream down the glass. "You can go home early," the manager said. "No point keeping full staff for 3 customers." Kira nodded gratefully. She could sleep, actually sleep, for more than 4 hours. She gathered her bag, pulled on her thin jacket, and stepped into the rain. She should have taken the subway, but her studio was only 6 blocks away. She decided to walk, letting the rain wash away the coffee smell and exhaustion. 4 blocks from home, she heard the screech of tires. Kira turned just as a black sedan skidded on the wet road, hydroplaned, and slammed into a street pole with a sickening crunch of metal. For a moment, everything froze. Then training from a first aid course she had taken years ago kicked in. She ran toward the car. The driver slumped against the airbag, blood running down his temple. Kira tried the door. Locked. She pounded on the window. "Sir, can you hear me?" He stirred, disoriented. "Unlock the door." His hand fumbled, found the lock. Kira pulled the door open and immediately assessed the situation. Head wound, bleeding but not catastrophically. No visible bone breaks, but he was dazed, possibly concussed. "I'm going to call an ambulance," she said, pulling out her phone. His hand shot out, gripped her wrist with surprising strength. "Stay." The word was barely a whisper, but the desperation in it stopped her. I'm not leaving. But I need to call help. She dialed emergency services with shaking fingers, gave their location, then turned back to the man. Rain poured through the open door, mixing with blood on his face. Kira shrugged off her jacket and pressed it against his head wound. Keep pressure here. What's your name? J1, he managed. Kira, you're going to be fine, J1. Stay with me. His eyes focused on her face, really seeing her for the first time. Even dazed and bleeding, she noticed he had striking features. Sharp jawline, intense dark eyes, the kind of face that belonged in dramas her mother watched. Beautiful, he murmured. You're definitely concussed. Not wrong, though. Despite everything, Kira felt heat rise to her cheeks. The ambulance arrived 7 minutes later. Paramedics swarmed the scene, efficient and professional. They tried to wave Kira away, but J1's hand found hers again. She comes. Sir, only family. She comes or I don't go. The paramedic looked at Kira, who shrugged helplessly. They loaded J1 onto a stretcher and let her climb into the ambulance. She sat awkwardly in the corner, her jacket ruined with blood, wondering what she had gotten herself into. At the hospital, chaos erupted. A woman in an expensive business suit appeared, talking rapidly into a phone. Security guards materialized. Doctors rushed over, suddenly deferential. Nurses whispered to each other, eyes wide. Kira tried to slip away in the commotion. Miss, wait. The woman in the suit approached. You were with Mr. Kang? I just helped after the accident. I should go. Mr. Kang is asking for you. I'm sure he's confused from the accident. He was quite insistent. Please, if you could wait just a moment. Kira didn't want to wait. She wanted to go home, shower, sleep, forget this entire strange night. But something in the woman's expression, a mix of concern and curiosity, made her nod. She sat in the waiting room, acutely aware of her wet clothes and bedraggled appearance among the hospital's sterile cleanliness. 45 minutes passed. She was about to leave when a doctor approached. Miss Mensah? Yes? Mr. Kang would like to thank you. He's stable, just a concussion and minor lacerations. He's quite lucky you were there. I'm glad he's okay. Would you see him briefly? He's been asking. Kira followed the doctor to a private room. Private didn't adequately describe it. The space was larger than her entire studio apartment, with medical equipment that looked like something from a science fiction film. J1 sat propped up in bed, a bandage wrapped around his head, looking significantly more alert than before. You stayed, he said. The hospital asked me to. Thank you for everything. Anyone would have done the same. But you did it. He studied her with unnerving intensity. I owe you my life. That's dramatic. You had a concussion. The doctor said another few minutes without pressure on that wound, I could have had serious complications. He paused. I don't even know your full name. Kira Mensah. Kang J1. He extended his hand formally. She shook it, noting the expensive watch on his wrist, the calluses that suggested he didn't just sit behind a desk, the way hospital staff treated him like royalty. You're someone important, she guessed. I run a company. Must be some company. A small smile crossed his face. It keeps me busy. What do you do, Kira Mensah? I work at a cafe, translate documents, sell paintings sometimes. An artist. A struggling one. The best kind. The hungry ones create the most honest work. Something in his tone made her really look at him. Despite the hospital gown and bandage, he carried himself with quiet confidence, but his eyes held something else, a deep sadness that she recognized because she saw it in her mirror every morning. You should rest, she said. Will you visit me? The question surprised her. Why would I do that? Because I'd like to thank you properly, and because I'm curious about the woman who runs into danger instead of away from it. That's not bravery, just instinct. Then you have good instincts. Kira didn't know how to respond to that. She had made so many wrong choices, married the wrong man, trusted the wrong promises. Her instincts felt broken. I really should go. At least let me have my assistant get your contact information. I'd like to replace your jacket. It was just a cheap jacket. Nevertheless, would giving him her number become the biggest mistake of her life or the moment that changed everything? You'll find out in part 2.